The power of silence. In today's noisy world, where every thought can be voiced with a single click, silence has become a rarity, but also a profound form of wisdom. The Buddha once said, "Silence is better than 1,000 meaningless words." We often speak to be understood, to prove ourselves, or simply to fill the void of loneliness. But the more we speak, the more we risk losing ourselves in the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others. Silence is not an escape. It is a shield. It is the armor of the spirit that protects our peace from being swept away by the chaos around us. It is the stillness that allows us to hear ourselves, the space where the deepest answers arise. Keep for yourself a quiet space, where unspoken thoughts can gently rest, where peace is silently nurtured. Not everything we feel needs to be said. Some of the most beautiful things are those kept within, like a flower that blooms in the dark. Do not share your inner peace. Inner peace is a flower that blossoms from within the soul. It is not a gift that can be granted by others. It is the outcome of deep self-reflection, quiet healing, and the release of unnecessary desires. Yet, sometimes we carelessly display this peace, speaking of it too freely, unaware that such sharing may cause it to fade. When you speak too much about your inner calm, you invite others into that quiet garden, and not everyone brings gentle energy. Some may listen with empathy, but others may respond with doubt, envy, or subtle unease that unsettles the serenity you worked so hard to build. Inner peace is like a small candle glowing softly in the darkness. If you expose it to the wind, even the gentlest breeze, it may be extinguished. Learn to shelter that flame in a quiet corner of your being, a space known only to you. Share your presence, your kindness, your love. But guard your inner peace like a sacred treasure, because when you are truly at peace, there is no need to declare it. People will feel it in your eyes, your actions, and the silent strength that radiates from your being. Do not share negative thoughts. There's a profound teaching from the Buddha that stays in our heart. Your greatest enemy is not outside, but the unguarded negative thoughts within you. Negative thoughts are like poisonous seeds. If we do not recognize them in time, they take root quietly and grow in our minds. It may start as a bit of irritation, a complaint, or a blaming thought toward others or ourselves. But once we express them without mindfulness, our words become toxic winds, pulling not only ourselves but also others into a spiral of suffering. A story for reflection. A woman named Hoa once vented to her best friend about her unloving husband, her disobedient children, and how suffocating her life felt. She poured out all her sorrow and anger with harsh, negative words. Her friend, already tired from work, went silent. After that day, her friend became more withdrawn and her spirit dimmed. It wasn't just a story that hurt. It was the overwhelming negativity that soaked into her mind like a dark fog. The truth is, every time we share our negative thoughts, we transmit a portion of our suffering to others. And pain, when spread, doesn't heal us. It only makes the world darker. Why stay silent instead of complaining? Because once words are spoken, they cannot be taken back. A moment of weakness may leave a long-lasting wound. Moreover, not everyone who listens is calm enough to offer compassion. Some may silently judge us. Some may gossip. In the end, we lose our peace and expose our wounds to a world that may not handle them kindly. The Buddha taught, speak only what is true, necessary, and kind. If what we're about to say brings no peace, no growth, no compassion, it's better to hold it and dissolve it in silence, through meditation, through mindfulness, through kind actions. The truly strong are not those who speak all their burdens aloud, but those who can transform pain quietly, with understanding and love. There are wounds that, when shared with the wrong person, become weapons used against us. Not everyone who listens is capable of understanding, and not every smile is sincere. Some listen not out of compassion, but out of curiosity, or worse, with the intent to judge or exploit. Sharing requires discernment, and trust must mature through wisdom. Silence is not weakness. It is often strength in disguise, a quiet effort to protect the fragile peace we built within ourselves from unnecessary storms. Illustration: betrayed by trust. And was a quiet, sensitive girl who had gone through a traumatic family breakup. Seeking emotional relief, she confided in a newly acquainted colleague who seemed warm and understanding. At first, This colleague listened attentively and responded with comforting words. But within weeks, Anne's personal story became office gossip. She was subtly labeled as emotionally unstable, someone with issues, and lost not only her privacy, but also her trust in others. That painful experience taught her that not everyone who hears your story deserves to know it. Some wounds are best healed in silence, with compassion for yourself. Don't share your future plans too soon. Not everyone wants to see you succeed. Future plans are like tender little sprouts in your mind. When they're still young and fragile, even a gentle breeze can uproot them. That's why you should be cautious about exposing them to the storms of the world too early. Many people believe that sharing their goals early gives them more motivation and support. But life doesn't always work that way. The moment you speak of your plans, you hand over the power of judgment to others. Some may encourage you, but many will mock, doubt, or silently wish for your failure. Real life story. Nak, a young woman passionate about baking, saved money for years with a dream of opening her own little bakery. During a family gathering, she excitedly shared her plan, but instead of encouragement, she heard, "Who even buys from small bakeries these days? Everything's online. If it fails, you'll just suffer. Better save that money for your future. Business is not easy." Those comments were like cold rain pouring on her passionate flame. Doubt crept in. Every step she took felt heavier, burdened by her family's disapproval. Eventually, she shelved her dream, not because it wasn't possible, but because too many eyes made her second-guess herself. Had she kept the plan in her heart and quietly prepared until everything was ready, perhaps her dream would not have withered so soon. Lesson: let your plans grow in silence. Nurture them with action, not talk. When the fruit is ripe, the world will notice. But when it's still just a seed, protect it. Don't expose it too early. Don't share acts of kindness for the sake of recognition. In today's world, where everything can be recorded, posted, and shared with a single touch, kindness has gradually become a stage. People perform good deeds not solely out of compassion, but for the gaze of others, for likes, shares, or praise. But Buddhism teaches us that the highest form of goodness is the one that needs no witness. It is like the fragrance of flowers that fills the air, with no one knowing where it came from, only that it soothes the soul. A kind act, if done with a desire for recognition, is already tainted by ego. When you help someone but secretly want them to remember your favor or crave public applause, it's no longer pure compassion. It becomes a transaction. I give you goodness, and I expect admiration in return. Real life story. In a poor village in central Vietnam, there lived an old woman alone in a worn-down cottage. Every morning, a hot bowl of porridge was placed neatly at her doorstep. No one knew who brought it. The villagers speculated, but eventually gave up, as for years, no one ever caught a glimpse of the giver. Only after the old woman passed away, a middle-aged woman in the village finally confessed. For 5 years, she had silently cooked and delivered the porridge every morning. She said, "I didn't want anyone to know because I didn't do it to be known. I did it because it lightened my heart knowing I could make someone's life a little less hard." That is pure compassion, quiet, humble, like morning light that warms without blinding. Conclusion: true kindness does not need to be told. A compassionate act is only complete when it is not influenced by craving or ego. Let your goodness be like water soaking into the earth, unseen, yet nourishing an entire field. Conclusion: only share what nourishes peace and wisdom. In today's world, where information is constantly flowing, silence becomes one of the most precious things we can practice. We are often caught up in the need to share everything, hoping for attention or validation from others. However, not everything we share brings peace. A careless word can disturb our mind, and an unintended remark can hurt not just the listener, but also ourselves. Silence, on the other hand, is a sign of wisdom. Silence is not emptiness. It is fullness of knowledge and understanding. It is the ability to know when to speak, when to listen, and when to let the soul rest in stillness to recover. For instance, in moments of fatigue or unease, instead of voicing out negative thoughts or sharing worries with others, sometimes all we need is a moment of silence to listen to ourselves. Silence allows us to realize deeper thoughts, unspoken feelings, and from there, find peace. Illustrative example. There's a story about a meditation master and his disciple. The disciple used to share everything from his personal joys to sorrows, from successes to failures. One day, the master told him, try sitting in silence for 10 minutes every day, saying nothing, thinking nothing, just listening to your breath. At first, the disciple found it difficult, but gradually, after some time, he realized that silence brought clarity and helped him not get swept away by worries. He understood that some things did not need to be shared immediately, but needed time to reflect upon and resolve. So, in every conversation or relationship, consider whether your words nourish peace or not. If not, silence might be the better choice.